a bad person. At least I didn't think I was, but when a fortune is dangling right in front of your face, just inches away, and you know it's about to slip through your fingers, can you honestly say you wouldn't reach for it? I mean, come on, I'm just an average guy who lost all his savings on a failed business. Nothing special. But my wife, Lily, she's got money, or more accurately, her father does. Old man Joseph used to be a real estate tycoon. He owns, 30 properties? Dozens of stock accounts, investments overseas. That's just what I've picked up through casual talk. There's definitely more. Recently I overheard Lily talking about how he was drafting his will. She said he's setting up a trust fund for her and someone named George, his illegitimate son. Here's the deal. Once Joseph dies, the money goes into a trust. They'll get monthly living expenses, but the principal can't be touched. No investing, no big spending, and absolutely nothing for spouses. The only way the money ever gets released is when Lily or George has children, and those kids grow up. We've been married for 8 years. No kids, so guess who's left out? Me. If that trust gets signed, I get nothing, not a cent. My name won't be on anything. Lily's the type who'll just say, let's respect Dad's wishes. And then what am I? A glorified roommate? I'm not going to lie, I couldn't take it. That money should have been mine, one way or another. So I looked into it. Legally, if Joseph dies before the trust gets signed, the estate goes straight to Lily. And that's basically mine too, isn't it? That's when the idea started forming. And it wasn't just greed. I knew something most people didn't. Joseph had a condition. He's had it since he was a kid, a rare type of seizure triggered by emotional shock. Not many people know. Hell, even Lily didn't know until about 6 months ago. He usually senses when it's coming. He'll fake a nap or excuse himself to the bathroom. The episodes only last a few seconds. He just blanks out, sometimes trembles a little. One time it almost went wrong. He was alone at home with the housekeeper, Helen. He got a phone call that upset him, grabbed a bottle opener, his hand started to shake, almost jabbed it into his own eye. Helen found him sitting on the kitchen floor, dazed and trembling. Called an ambulance. By the time they got to the hospital, he was fine. The doctor said it caused a brief arrhythmia. Nothing serious, but still a warning. And I remembered that. Stored it away in my head like a secret weapon. So now, I picked the perfect place for a family vacation. It's an old house on the edge of a forest near a national park. Looks over a lake. It's run as a guest house now. People rent it out to go hiking or explore or chase ghost stories. Yeah, this place has a reputation. They say a painter once died here, killed himself. Not everyone sees ghosts, they say, but some do. The guy who found the place for me said, depends on your luck. I told him Lily and I are both into spooky settings, immersive experiences, and all that. He just smiled and said, well, be careful. I chose the house because of the ghost stories. Honestly, I think they're just marketing stunts. It's probably some trick by the owners to attract thrill seekers. The rent was steep, way more than regular vacation homes. But I didn't mind paying, not when it's going to be the final stage. Back home, I told the family I wanted us to go on a relaxing week-long retreat. Lily was thrilled. Dad's doing better lately. He could use some fresh air, she said. Perfect. We packed up. It was me, Lily, Helen the housekeeper, and the old man himself. The day we left, the sky was gray. Clouds hung low. I thought, perfect. Even the weather's setting the mood. Helen was especially excited. Kept saying she hardly ever gets to go out. She even brought a little tape recorder, said she wanted to record forest monsters. I joked. Maybe you'll catch a ghost instead. When we arrived, the fog was just starting to roll in. The house stood like a statue. Weathered wooden walls, a heavy oak door, and a few dead white roses by the steps. Classic haunted house vibes, I thought. Probably all part of the act. I kept a cheerful face, helped Joseph with his bags, smiled wide. Dad, look at this place. So peaceful, far from the city. You'll love it. He didn't say anything at first, just stared at the house for a long while, then he muttered, "Didn't something bad happen here?" My heart skipped. Oh? I didn't hear anything. What kind of bad? He nodded slowly. Some rich guy hanged himself here years ago. His wife went mad after. You chose this place by coincidence? I kept my face calm, my smile steady. We don't believe in ghosts, right? But the way he looked at me, no smile, just cold eyes like he knew more than he was saying. The first night was normal. I played my part, chatted with Lily, played chess with Joseph, even made him his favorite tea. In my head, I was praying, come on, ghost. Show yourself. Give him a scare. Just enough to trigger it, but I didn't expect the first one to break down would be Helen. It was late. I heard voices, loud ones. I walked down the hallway, following the sound to Helen's room. I knocked. No answer. I pushed open the door. She was sitting on the bed, staring out the window, eyes empty. I walked over, gently tapped her shoulder. She turned her head slowly and said, "She says, this house doesn't like liars." I froze. Who said that? "The little girl," she whispered. "She's right there." She pointed out the window. I looked. Nothing but tree branches rattling in the wind. I told her to stop spooking herself. Said she needed rest. We were heading into town the next day. She didn't say another word. I closed the door behind me, but that night, as I lay in bed, for the first time, I had the oddest feeling that the house was staring back at me. The next morning, things seemed normal again. We went to the village market, bought some local goods, watched a few folk performances. It was all very lively. On the surface, at least. Then came day 3. When I woke up, Helen was gone. She wasn't in the kitchen. Not on the balcony either. I actually thought she might have wandered off into the woods during some kind of breakdown. Turned out she was sitting in the woodshed, hunched against the wall, her face pale, eyes swollen, like she'd been crying all night. I asked her what was going on. She spoke so softly I could barely hear her. The girl said, "This house eats people." She said she knew the moment you stepped in. I forced a smile. Don't be ridiculous. Come on, get back inside. Breakfast isn't going to cook itself. She suddenly looked up, eyes sharp. I'm not crazy. You heard it too, didn't you? That singing in the middle of the night? My heart skipped. But I held the act. What singing? You probably dreamed it. She shook her head. You don't believe me? Then go check the West Side storeroom downstairs. I almost brushed her off. But the way she said it, so specific, it got to me. I walked down to the West storeroom. It was supposed to be locked. I'd considered hiding some of our ghost props in there earlier, but I hadn't even touched it yet. Now the door was open. The lock was gone. I pushed it in. A thick, moldy smell poured out. No lights inside, but even in the dimness I saw it. Scratch marks, carved deep into the floor near the wall, long and frantic. I stood frozen, cold sweat sliding down my back. This wasn't me. I had no idea anyone had been here. I didn't leave those marks. I took a deep breath and went back to the kitchen. Something wasn't right. It felt like there was someone or something else in the house with us. Later, Helen returned to the house like nothing happened. She was back to her old self, all calm and polite. I watched her closely. I started to wonder if maybe she was the one planting the scares. That afternoon during lunch, Lily looked uneasy. Her hand trembled a bit as she picked up a piece of fish. "Did you hear anything strange last night?" she asked. I shrugged. "The house is old, pipes creak, wood settles. Could be anything." She shook her head, eyes distant. "No." I got up for water and saw a little girl in the hallway. She was wearing old clothes, 1950s maybe. Her skin was white as paper. My face twitched. "You're buying into Helen's nonsense now." "I didn't want to," she said quietly. But she was just standing there, staring, so real. Joseph, who'd been silent, suddenly spoke up. "Did anyone else hear whispering near the fireplace?" Everyone went quiet. Of course, I knew exactly where those sounds came from because I planted most of them. But I wasn't alone. I had a helper, my cousin Ben, a full-time freeloader, part-time lowlife. He'd do anything for money. When he heard about Joseph and the inheritance, he jumped right in. I promised him 20% of the estate if things worked out. Ben installed a tiny speaker inside the fireplace. It was set to play faint, whispering sounds every night at 2 a.m. He also helped me pick out that creepy old photo of a girl in the hallway, from a junk shop, perfect fake vintage. But those scratch marks in the storeroom, not us. I was almost sure. It was either Helen or something else. That night, I decided it was time to turn up the fear. I went all in. Mismatched the dining chairs so it looked like someone moved them during the night. Set up a mirror projection at the end of the hallway. When the nightlight hit it just right, a faint silhouette appeared. Installed a dripping device in the attic to mimic water leaking from nowhere. Set to start at 3 a.m. And beneath Joseph's mattress, I hid the vintage photo of the girl right where he'd find it by accident. All of it carefully timed and placed. My goal? Scare Joseph just enough to push him into a seizure. Trigger it at night during a moment of confusion and fear. And once he collapses, let natural causes take care of the rest. But weirdly enough, Joseph wasn't rattled at all. He was calm, almost too calm. I was the one losing it. Then, one afternoon, I found Helen burning paper in the fireplace. Not regular paper. She was burning family photos pulled straight from the living room albums. She was whispering, "You don't want to hurt them, do you? You just don't want to be alone anymore." I stormed over. "What the hell are you doing? That's not your stuff." She turned to me, eyes clear, her voice unnervingly steady. "From the moment you stepped into this house, she started writing you into her story." I froze. She kept going. "You think you're the director, right? The mastermind pulling strings, but she's the one writing the script. She sees everything you do." I couldn't even reply. I was certain now. Joseph must have caught on and put Helen up to this. Maybe she was trying to scare me off. Whatever it was, I didn't care anymore. I was done waiting. Ben and I had already agreed tonight was the night. Joseph and Helen both had to go. Ben handed me the pills earlier, black market stuff, strong sedatives. At dinner, I mixed them into the beef stew, just enough to knock them out until morning. Helen didn't say a word when I helped in the kitchen. She didn't stop me. Perfect. That night, everyone was quiet. The house almost too quiet. Then, a loud crash from upstairs, like someone had knocked over a heavy statue. It couldn't be Ben. We agreed he wouldn't enter the house until I called for him. I looked up at the ceiling. Lily rushed up to check. She found nothing. An empty room, no furniture, no mess, no source for the sound. I stood behind her, staring at that room, that hallway. I had planned this whole haunted house vacation scare, every detail. But now, It felt like I wasn't the only one pulling the strings. Everyone else already believed the house was haunted. And for the first time, I wasn't so sure what I believed anymore. That night, the rain started again. Heavy, cold, and relentless, like the house knew what I was about to do. At dinner, I laced Joseph's, Helen's, and Lily's stew with the sedatives. Just mine was clean. The dosage was enough to keep a grown man out cold till morning. Ben had gotten the stuff from some sketchy connection in town. After dinner, I watched Joseph shuffle off to bed, barely keeping his balance. I felt a sick satisfaction watching him disappear into his room. Everything was going to plan. 2:50 in the morning. The house was dead quiet. Even the rain had stopped. I crept to Joseph's door and slowly pushed it open. There he was, eyes shut, face blank, breathing shallow. I gave his arm a light shake. No response. "He's out," I whispered to Ben, who had slipped in through the back. "Let's move fast," he said. The plan was simple: carry Joseph to the top of the staircase and accidentally let him fall. No carpet. Loose banister. I'd loosened it earlier in the week. To the police, it had looked like an old man got up to use the bathroom, saw something strange, slipped. A tragedy. Nothing more. Ben and I each grabbed a side. He took the arms, I got the legs. Joseph was heavier than I thought. By the time we reached the hallway, we were both breathing hard. "You go in front, I'll hold his back," I said quietly. We carried him to the edge of the stairs. I double-checked the railing. Still loose. Perfect. On 3, 1, 2, 3... We pushed, but he didn't move. It was like he was glued to the floor. No matter how hard we shoved, he stayed frozen, like something was holding him down. "Push harder," I hissed. We gave it everything. That's when we heard it. A thud. Like something heavy crashing in another room, the same sound we'd heard in the dining room days ago. And then... silence. Thick, suffocating silence. The house seemed to freeze. Cold wind seeped in through the cracks in the walls. And then came the smell. Wet rot, mold, something long dead. Ben and I just stood there, staring at each other. And then we heard it. A child's giggle. Right behind us. Soft, high-pitched, and way too close. "You've been wanting to play this game for a long time, haven't you?" We spun around. In the darkness, a small figure took shape. A little girl in an old white dress, hair soaked and clinging to her face. I blinked. Slapped my own face twice. She was still there. She looked up at us, her mouth stretched unnaturally wide. Her eyes were black voids, empty. Ben lost it. He screamed, turned, ran, slipped. His foot caught on the edge of the top stair, and he tumbled head first, crack, crack, crack. His skull slammed against each step on the way down. The last impact was deep and final. Blood pooled fast. I couldn't move. The girl turned to me, and then she lunged. Something icy cold slammed me to the floor. I couldn't breathe. My throat felt stuffed with wet cloth. I tried to scream, but no sound came out. And right then, Joseph opened his eyes. He sat up, calm, then stood. Lily appeared behind him, expression blank. Then suddenly she burst out laughing, wild, sharp laughter that echoed down the hallway. "You idiot," she said. "I should have let Dad send you to hell a long time ago." Joseph stood over me, looking down. His voice was calm, too calm. "My dear son-in-law, tired of playing God yet?" I couldn't respond. "We didn't eat the stew," he said. "The pills?" Helen swapped them out. She used to work at a pharmacy. "We knew what you were planning all along." He tapped his cane on the floor once, twice, like a signal. "Let me tell you something. This house, it used to be mine decades ago. My brother and I spent a lot of time here. It was our getaway. But I learned he was digging into my business, trying to find dirt, ruin my name, cut me out of the will. He was broke, desperate, just like you. He said this house was haunted, said something was watching us. I didn't believe him. Until the night it took him. He ran screaming through this hallway, said something was clawing at his chest. We never found him, just his watch, behind the fireplace. Joseph stepped closer. You thought you were writing a story, but she was already writing you into hers. That little girl. She's the house's true owner, and she hates greedy men. I tried to get up, crawl, do anything, but my legs sank. The wooden floor turned soft like mud, pulling me in. "Lily!" I screamed. "Help me!" Nothing. I looked down the stairs. Ben was lying still, eyes wide open, mouth frozen in a scream, tongue dark and bloated. Dead. Then I heard Helen from downstairs. She says, "You two can stay now. She won't have to play alone anymore. You wanted to be a ghost? Now you are." Something yanked me into the floor. My chest felt crushed. I couldn't breathe. My vision turned black. A new family walks into the house. A middle-aged man and his son. The landlord hands over the keys. This place has got some age to it. Bit of character, bit of charm. Some say it's even got a soul. Be careful. The little boy looks up the staircase. "Dad, does someone live up there?" "No, son. It's just us here." The boy whispers,
"But I saw a man. He was standing at the top, smiling at me.